60 Minutes Rewind.
Tonight, we take another look at the maverick Ted Turner. Captain Outrageous, Terrible Ted, the mouth from the South. We've been spending time with him, following him around the past couple of months to find out what he's up to, what his plans are. This television pioneer who created CNN more than 20 years ago. Well, he is fascinating as usual, unpredictable as usual. He let us know that he didn't much like his job as vice chairman at AOL Time Warner. But he didn't give us a clue that he was going to resign from that job, which he did last week. We talked with him again yesterday, and you'll hear more about that later. First, come with us now as we walk with Ted on a Manhattan sidewalk outside AOL Time Warner headquarters and begin to learn what has been churning in Ted Turner's always volatile mind. They've not iced you here?
Iced me?
Yeah, iced you.
What's that mean? I know what icing the puck is, but you mean
Iced
put
you
me
out.
on ice?
Yeah.
No, I'm not out. I have 1 foot in the door and 1 on the sidewalk. See, here we're welcome to go in.
Though, as we said, he resigned last week, Ted Turner still holds the title of vice chairman, and he will until May. As a vice chairman here at AOL, what does that mean? What is your job?
Well, vice chairman is kind of a title without portfolio.
Title without meaning.
Right, like the Emperor of Japan.
He's in charge of just about nothing. He doesn't even have a voice anymore about the running of his baby CNN. He says his formal role has been that of advisor, but it's not really what he wants to be.
I'm trying to play the role that I've been given as good as I can.
But you're the guy who said...
And I'm on the board of directors.
So they pay attention to you?
Well, they do, yes.
As much as you'd like?
No.
Back when the plan to merge Time Warner with AOL was first announced, Ted voted for it with unbridled joy.
And I did it with as much or more excitement and enthusiasm as I did on that night when I first made love some 42 years ago. It was that. Well, you know, on the eve of something like that, it was very clear that it was going to go through, so I might as well have gone along with it.
And it was a big mistake.
That was, absolutely.
When the merger was announced, stock prices soared, giving Ted, the largest individual shareholder, billions. But since then, AOL Time Warner stock has gone south, way south. How much did you lose from AOL Time Warner?
From the high to the low?
Yeah.
7 or 8 billion.
How did things get so bad? Well, it's been a long road, and 60 Minutes has been there for much of the ride. Back in 1977, we first met the young Ted Turner on 60 Minutes when he sailed the Courageous to victory in the America's Cup race.
You know, it's just another sailboat race.
And then he had a little too much victory punch. But the yachtsman, playboy, bad boy, was already on his way, in large part due to his father, who ran a successful billboard company, but who was tortured by depression and tough on his son Ted.
I do not think my father was abusive. My father was a strict disciplinarian, but he and I were extremely close.
He used to beat you with a wire hanger.
With a wire coat hanger. He did several times.
And then the story goes that he made you beat him.
He did. He made me spank him one night. And that was very, very hard. And I was easier. It was much easier to be spanked than spank your father.
Then, when Ted was 24, his father committed suicide, and that is when Turner swung into high gear as an entrepreneur and budding tycoon. By 1979, when my colleague Harry Reasoner talked with him, Ted had already created the nation's first TV superstation.
Wayne, what do you think of this team? I like every one of them.
And he was the owner of the Atlanta Braves baseball team. And then the very next year, 1980, he launched CNN.
This is CNN.
It was dubbed the Chicken Noodle Network back then, but as CNN began to show it was a serious news operation, Turner's appetite got even bigger. In 1986, when Diane Sawyer interviewed him for 60 Minutes, Ted had just lost his bid to take over this network, CBS. Along the way, of course, there was his personal life, and that was another story. Turner has been married and divorced 3 times, most recently to Jane Fonda, to whom he remains deeply loyal. I read something Jane Fonda had said about him. She has said, with all the love in the world, she says, he has been severely, hauntingly traumatized. He always thinks something is to be pulled out from him, with reference to your dad, maybe. He has no belief in permanency, stability. It is one reason I'm not with him.
I'm sure that she feels that way. She's told me that. I wouldn't say that I agree with that completely. I know that I have some insecurity problems. Most overachievers do.
But he's had other problems that earned him those names, Captain Outrageous, Terrible Ted, and Mouth from the South. Much of it because he says what's on his mind. And you never know what that's going to be. And sometimes neither does he.
And I get in trouble because, you know, when you're speaking off the cuff and you aren't positive of what you're going to say till you say it, you say things that, taken out of context, look pretty outrageous sometimes.
Like the time he took a swipe at religion, or one particular religion. Christianity is for losers.
Terrible statement. I really regretted that from the time that it came out of my big fat mouth. I believe that you should live by your word.
And there were others, like when he gave a speech some months after the World Trade Center disaster. Look, after 9/11, you said in a speech,
oh my God,
what was on your mind? And some had a problem with it. And you apologized after, or expressed regret for it. But let me repeat what you said.
Okay, go ahead.
The 19 young men who blew themselves up going into the
Trade Center that our administration called cowards. I mean, how are you a coward when you're willing to die for your country? I mean, I think they were brave at very least, because I'm not going to fly my airplane. Brave was a bad word, but I do not think, as I know, for instance, my father committed suicide, and he was not a coward. He was very brave when he shot himself, in my opinion. So that's why, to a degree, I said that.
Nonetheless, he regrets he said it.
A lot of times, what you have in your mind is best left unsaid, particularly if you're trying to be diplomatic.
Trying to be diplomatic, Ted Turner?
I try and be diplomatic, I really do. Maybe I didn't when I was younger, but I'm certainly trying now because, you know, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But that's not really true. Words can hurt somebody.
But sometimes Ted Turner's words can have a distinctly different effect. And at a recent UN luncheon honoring him, he recounted the events that led up to a speech he made back in 1997, a speech that stunned the audience and even Ted Turner.
I got a letter saying that I was going to be honored by the United Nations Association as their Man of the Year. And I thought, well, what am I going to say? Because I had to make a little speech. So what am I going to say, you know? Say something significant. Well, what could you say that's significant? UN doesn't have any money, you know? The U.S. won't pay. I said, give them some money. Give them a lot of money. I said, how much are you going to give them? I said, well, you got to, you know, it's got to be in the newspapers. It's got to be a big figure. How about $1 billion, you know? I mean...
And so the Mouth from the South had put his money where his mouth is. He pledged $1 billion to the United Nations through a foundation he would create.
And then the next really incredible thing is we had to come up with a name for this foundation. And I'm good at names. I came up with the name Goodwill Games, you know, with my buddies the Russians. We call me buddies, you know, we had a lot of fun. Anyway, you know, so I said, what is the name? And there was one name that just spouted out. I said, the United Nations Foundation. I said, but wow, the United Nations will have to let us use their name. What happens if I turn out to be a jerk? You know, what, can you imagine the United Nations at war with the United Nations Foundation with that name? I mean, really. So I came to Kobe and said, would you let us use your name? They said, we got to look at that carefully. And they said, Turner, you're not going to embarrass us, are you? I said, I sure hope not. You know, I don't intend to. And they approved that.
Ted pledged that $1 billion over 10 years. But since the collapse of his AOL Time Warner stock, he's extended that payout period. But he insists he is committed to pay every dollar of it. And beyond that, he's also committed to fighting the use of weapons of mass destruction. He created and bankrolled something called the Nuclear Threat Initiative for that purpose. You're trying to save the environment, trying to prevent the use of weapons of mass destruction. $1 billion for the United Nations through your UN Foundation to relieve poverty, to stop war.
Cures diseases.
It sounds like a one-man mission to cure the world.
Well, I wouldn't say a one-man mission to cure the world. But basically, I do feel the world and life have been mighty good to me. I want to put something back.
So the satisfaction that you get personally from this philanthropy, from this giant philanthropy.
I do it because I feel like it's the right thing to do.
But still, he hasn't given up entrepreneurship. There's Ted Turner, the land baron, who owns nearly 2 million acres, more land than the state of Delaware. And there's the restaurateur who's opened a chain of Ted's Montana Grill restaurants. And Ted Turner Pictures, which recently bankrolled Gods and Generals, a Civil War movie premiering next week. And incidentally, when you cough up the cash as he did, you get yourself a cameo appearance.
We owe you Texas boys a debt of gratitude for putting on these shows.
But at the end of the day, what Turner is proudest of is the same thing he's lost control of, his beloved CNN. Incidentally, just yesterday, Turner told me he is against a merger between CNN and ABC News. Too many problems, he says. When you look at CNN today, if you were still running it, what would you change?
Well, I don't think that's fair.
Sure it is.
I don't know it's not. I'm not going to...
Is there too much talk and not enough news?
I'm not. I think basically that CNN is doing a pretty good job. I mean, there's some things obviously that I don't like, but I'm the old fuddy-duddy that it reported to for 22 or 23 years. So, I mean, obviously, any changes are going to be something that give me some trouble. But, you know, that's just the way old folks are. That's why every now and then it's a good thing for older people to step aside and let younger people run these things and move on to...
Is that aimed at me?
No, not necessarily.
He and I took a walk over to CNN's glass-enclosed street-level studio here in New York City. Come on and...
Got it.
You're on the outside looking in at CNN.
Yes, we are.
Can you imagine? And before we knew it, we were briefly on CNN ourselves.
Then outside the window, you have Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes.
And Ted Turner.
And Ted Turner.
Wow.
What do you feel about looking in at CNN?
It's difficult. But, you know, you can't live in the past. You've got to live in the present and the future. And I've got plenty to do.
When the name Ted Turner is mentioned, every time people say, CNN, you're the guy who started this. You're the guy.
Don't forget the Cartoon Network. The viewership of it is twice what CNN's viewership
Really?
is. Yeah.
All right, shall we go in?
Sure, absolutely. If they'll let us.
All right, the boss is here.
No, I'm not. The boss is not here. The founder is here.
And of course, he was greeted warmly.
Great, thanks for stopping by.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
But as we left CNN, walking over to AOL Time Warner's headquarters, it became a stroll down memory lane for Turner.
Isn't that the old CBS building right there?
That's right.
You know, I used to sing when I walked by, this nearly was mine. I had all three of the networks bought at one time or another.
Of course, he never did acquire any of the major networks. And now? At the age of 64, you're in good shape.
Yes.
What do you want your life to be?
Well, I want it to be varied. I want it to be interesting. I want it to be exciting. I want it to be challenging, and I want it to be fun.
And when it all ends, well, Ted Turner has a plan for that, too.
I know what I'm having them put on my tombstone. I have nothing more to say.